For more on the immigration crisis, let's bring back Richard Roth, founder of the Roth Law Firm. We're also joined by Kenneth Vecchio, attorney and GOP strategist. Welcome, Ken. Let's take another look at this very graphic image from the border. A terrible photo of a father and a daughter, around 2-year-old. It's just hard to watch. Drowned face down in the river. They tried to cross it and make it into the U.S. But, Richard, I want to start with you. A couple of months ago, when we had the government shut down, Democrats said it's a manufactured crisis. Looking at this picture, is this a manufactured crisis?
Well, the crisis that was manufactured was that Donald Trump said, I am building a wall and I want X billion dollars for the wall. Donald Trump would not budge, so much so that he personally, admittedly, in front of Schumer and Pelosi, caused the government shutdown. That was a manufactured price crisis. But as far as what's going on in the border right now, it is horrific. Congress just passed a $4.6 billion bill. Both Republicans and Democrats. Will Hurd, the congressman from Texas, the border state, agreed for the passage of it because it is so damning. You have 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds dying, fever, viruses, illness. It is a disaster. And all Donald Trump says is, build the wall.
Well, he says Democrats need to change the asylum rules because he says policies are the reason for this horrific picture.
Look, there are, unfortunately, millions of Americans, children, innocent people of all backgrounds that suffer the most horrendous things, and that is a true tragedy. But that's far left trying to politicize something that in itself is a tragedy. The far left has zero credibility with this whole immigration argument that they make. I mean, this is absolutely pathetic. There is no crisis at the border, and I'll tell you why. Because none of these people are being jailed by the U.S. government. They're being jailed and held. They're not being jailed, by the way.
Drowning in a river.
Wait, hold on a second.
Ken's on an island of his own.
Let me
There's not
finish.
one Republican that would say there's no crisis.
Let me finish.
There's a crisis.
Let me
There's a
finish.
huge crisis.
No, there is not a crisis, and here's why. Because they're not being jailed. They're being held by their own will and desire. They could pick up, pack up, and leave. They're not like people who are convicted of crimes that are being incarcerated not at their own will. Okay. And by the way,
take the blinders off. Take them off.
The $4.5 billion we could get. I want to keep the DACAs in the United States because they're here by no fault of their own. But they should have to pay for their permanent residency.
How about the asylum seekers? How about the 4-year-old kids? How about the 2-year-olds who are dying? To say there's no crisis?
Let me make my point.
I mean, you're ignoring your own president.
Let me make my point. Charge them $1,000 a year for 5 years. That's $5,000. It'll be over $100 billion that they can pay for their citizenship, and it will pay for everything that goes on at the border.
I got to tell you, once he says there's no crisis at the border, there's no credibility.
But what's the way forward? What's the way forward?
Is to acknowledge, which is what, Ken has to pull those cotton balls out of his ear. There is a crisis at the border. We have 2-year-olds dying.
How do you solve it?
You give them money. We just appropriated $4.6 billion. We start trying we need to do two things. One is we have to acknowledge there's a crisis. And number two is we have to provide enough of an infrastructure. The problem with the border right now is not that the people should turn around and go back. It's that we don't have a system in place. We should have more judges. We should have more marshals. We have to have a better system in place.
Did you see the Dustin Hoffman, Robert De Niro wag the dog?
Why don't we need a movie here?
When they show a picture like that, that's a manufactured crisis.
Fine.
That's something that happens anywhere and everywhere. The crisis
dying 2-year-olds.
By the way, I'll just say before I thank you, this is only one picture, but more people have drowned in the river.
Oh my God, drowned! How about virus and dysentery and
have to wrap it up.
They're choosing to come here,
and
that's why things are occurring.
We have to wrap it up. Thank you both, Kenneth Vecchio and Richard Roth. Thank you for your time.